Hi guys, and welcome back to the channel. Today we are featuring this gorgeous Oris Diver. Now let's face it, we know this watch because 10 years ago Oris released the 65 Diver Heritage, which I happen to own one of. And to be fair, it caused a bit of a storm because then every watch brand was looking to their back catalogue to bring back a model and basically try and, bring back some of that history. But with the Oris 65 Diver, they hit the nail on the head. It weren't too expensive, it was a quality watch, and let's see if that has transferred to this newer model. And basically, how many things are the same on it, or are they different? Because at first glance you'd think a lot of the things are the same, but you'd be amazed how many parts are actually different to the original. So this is going to be a review of the watch and a side-by-side comparison with the original. Now, before I start off into a review though, I've got to say a massive thank you to the team over at First Class Watches of Kenilworth. They have been so great with the channel. They've helped me out no end. So if you're in the Midlands area, please pop along to the shop, have a look round. I'm certain you'll like it. If you're a bit too far afield, well, don't worry, I'll leave a link in the description below and at the bottom of the page now. All I ask, if you do contact them, please mention the channels, it really help. So anyway, let's talk sizes first. It is a 39mm case size. The thickness of the watch is coming in at 12.4mm, and the lug to lug, so this length across the body of the watch here, is 46.3, and the bracelet size is actually 19mm. So anyway, let's look at, well, first of all, normally I'd always say let's look at the dial, but let's look at these side by side, and so you've got an idea here. Now obviously with this newer model you have a much cleaner dial on this. It is available in a couple of different flavors. I have the blue one here, but there's also a black dial version, and you do have raised hour markers on there. Now there is lume on this watch, and to be fair, it does look pretty good. I love the polish on the hands, the hour markers, it just looks great. And I love the fact you just got very minimal text. And I do like the date down here at the 6 o'clock position, as it keeps a kind of some, symmetry to the dial. Now, when you look at the 65 Diver Heritage, the first gen, now obviously that dial looks a lot more busy because you have this font which mimics the 1965 watch. But when you look at the rest of things like the hands, they do look all very similar. And personally, it's down to which one you prefer here. I do love this older model. I think the dial looks great. I really think they've done such a good job on this. Now, as we come past this, we have a nice boxed crystal on here. Now, many people would believe that this is the same as this one here, but it's actually smaller. This one has a much more pronounced crystal on there. Now, some people might think that's overdone, but it was to simulate the original plexi on the first one. So in some ways, they're both sapphire crystal with AR coating, so pick whichever one you prefer, but you can get hold of it. These are increasingly hard to get hold of. Now, the bezel. The bezel is a ceramic insert. Let's have a listen to the action. Nice and snappy, feels like 120 click, really, really snappy back play. Oh, yeah, there is a little bit, but no problem at all. It's got a nice sound to it. Does it line up? Yes, it does. When you look at the original, this had a aluminium insert and is PVD coated. So on this one, you have a nice machined edge. You do get the same on there, but it is a PVD coating. Let's have a listen to the action on this one. It's definitely lighter. Let's have a look. Yeah, it feels, this, dare I say it, I think the new one feels a bit stiffer, a bit tighter maybe. Let's get that back round because otherwise it will drive me mad. One click off, there we go. And the older one here feels a tiny bit looser, but it still feels very good. Also, I use the minute track off this one, where this is a true kind of the 15-minute scale for your diver thing there. But overall, yeah, horses for courses. I would be intrigued to know which one you prefer. Now, when it comes to the body of the watch, you have this lovely polished side here, which is covered in my fingerprints. As you can see, all nicely polished and brushwork going on there. It does look very, very nice. Now, many people would probably believe that it's the same case they've used, but it actually isn't. Look at the difference here. Now, I was surprised at that. I thought it would be the same case, but it is very noticeably different. Not in a bad way, dare I say it, but it is different. Now, one thing I would say is the actual older model is thicker, but I think it's partly down to that crystal there. But, you know, both are very cool. Now, as we come around to this side, we do have the crown on here, and it does look, I would actually say, the crown is also a little bit smaller. I think it is, or it could be just looking at the case of the watch here. Now, obviously, it is a signed crown. One thing I would say, it's a screw-down crown. You do get more water resistance with this one. And as you can see, it pops out audibly. But you do have a piece on the back of here, which it sits snugly down to. But one thing I have found is that every time I'm winding it, I am catching my fingernail or whatever on there. It could just be me. It's a small thing, but just to be aware of. Where on the original here, I say the original, this is still reinterpretation of a 65 model, but you don't have that on there. So that actually goes in there. And technically this only has 100 meters of water resistance. I would love to, well, I'd like to know if it can actually take more than that, but who knows. Now, again, looking as you come round to the back of a watch, now this one has a display case back, where the old first gen never came with that. Now, I know it's 50-50 with many people on here. Some like the solid case back, some like the display case back. Being a watchmaker myself, I like the display case back because I can see if there's anything wrong, if a case screws come loose or whatever. Now, the movement on the back of here is the Sellita SW200. I put it on the time grapher and I think it was pulling plus 3-4 seconds, which puts it within chronometer specs, to be fair, or at least in the position I tested it at. So, you know, really solid, 26 joule movement, around about 38 hours of power reserve. So it's tried and tested movement. It's been in the back of, you know, Oris watches for, 15 years, I'd say at least, in the Sellita guys. So anyway, you're not going to have any problems with that. The only thing I would say is don't overhand wind them. It's based on the ETA 2824, and all of those watches don't like being hand wound all the time. So if a watch hasn't been running for a bit, give it 5 or 6, maybe 7 turns, and let your wrist do the rest. Don't carry on hand winding it. It's not actually good for the movement. So anyway, as we carry on, the bracelet on this, again, it's different. I was so surprised. I thought there'd be so many carryover pieces to this watch, but, you know, the hands are different. Obviously, the dial's different. The bezel's different. The body of the watch is different. Case back is different. It looks like possibly the crown could be different. But even the bracelet, it's a 20mm affair on the 65 Diver, and on this one it's actually 19mm. I was surprised. And also, as you can see, you have these very nice little polished sections on the end here, and on this model it is fully brushed. Now, you do have, I don't know if this is actually riveted together, I probably doubt it, but you never know if they're faux rivets or not. And as it comes around here, you've got this lovely small clasp, which I believe is the same as this one here. The only difference is you get the polished buttons to release it here to complement the outside links here. But as you notice there, they're only to there, and then it becomes fully polished. So I don't know. I still think it's a cracking looking model. Now, 2 buttons to release there, and you have lots of levels of adjustment. Let me put this on my wrist so you've got an idea how it looks. Let's zoom out a little bit there. Now, quick wrist check. I'm wearing a Zin. I know, imagine that. That's the vintage 103 reverse Panda. And Bob has got on the real nice herbal on there. I think that's a lovely looking watch and a bit of a bargain. Now my wrist size is 7¼ inches. That equates to around about 18.5 centimeters, and that's how the watch looks on my wrist. It looks superb. It sits down nice and flat. They've always been onto a winner with this watch. I think it is just a really cool model. Now, one thing I should also mention is there on the back of the strap here, the bracelet, you do have quick release on the back of there. So you can actually take that out whenever you want, and it is supplied with a Tropic rubber strap, which you can put it on if you want to take, if you ever fancy the change. So anyway, let me know in the comments, which do you prefer, the new or the old school 65? I would be intrigued to figure out which one you do actually prefer. So anyway, guys, all the best, and most importantly, you stay safe out there. Take care. Bye.